Hey guys, I'm Adam Caesar, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what objectively is one of the most messed up movies of the year, but subjectively, do I think it's one of the best horror movies of the year. It's called The Eyes of My Mother. It's directed by Nicolas Pesce. I hope I'm saying that right, because I'm going to say it a few more times and I might mess it up. And it is this gorgeous black and white art horror film. We've talked about that term before and how I'm not 100% on board with it, but this is Project Black t-shirt, Eyes of My Mother. Alright, it's been a couple weeks since I've uploaded the video, and I apologize for those of you who actually have messaged me, reached out, and said, hey, when are we going to get another film and book pairing? Thank you so much. A bunch of you have signed up for the mailing list, got the free ebook, stuff like that, so I really appreciate that. And any of you who pick up my books or leave a review for one of my books, if you've already read them, it really helps me out, and thank you. So I wanted to put that up front. Usually I put the pitch garbage at the back, but I just wanted to say that up front. All right, The Eyes of My Mother. One of the best things about not watching trailers for movies, about kind of trusting your circle of movie-watching friends or like people that you trust who like go to festivals and tweet about stuff and review stuff, is that generally you can get an idea if a movie is going to be something you want to see, even without knowing what the movie is about, what goes on with it. I don't watch trailers. I don't read synopses. I just kind of generally go by, is this a movie people are talking about? Is this a movie that people I trust seem to like? And The Eyes of My Mother was a movie that everyone I had talked to and kind of trust seemed to like. Based on the poster, for some reason, I just kind of rented it. I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought it was going to be something along the lines of I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which we talked about a couple videos ago. I thought it was going to be like a ghost story or something like that. I thought it was going to be kind of quiet Victorian horror. The Eyes of My Mother, and this is a spoiler if you think talking about, the tone or content of a movie is a spoiler, but The Eyes of My Mother is the least quiet horror movie of the year, maybe. It does have kind of these beautiful long stretches of silence and no dialogue. It is in your face. If I were going to choose a subgenre of horror to kind of associate it with, it would be the extreme horror or serial killer subgenre, which I'm going to say up front, and I know this will catch flack for my more hardcore friends and more hardcore readers and stuff like that. I am not the world's biggest extreme horror fan. I'm just not the target audience for it. There are a few films in the genre, and there are a few books in the genre that are kind of absolute classics for me, absolute kind of tentpoles of genre canon. John McNaughton's Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer on the film side, and writers like Jack Ketchum on the literary side. I like authors and filmmakers that do extreme horror, that do, unflinching kind of irredeemable stories about reprehensible people. I like those kind of, I like people that do those stories kind of at an artistic distance. So you aren't reading it thinking like this is just a laundry list of like the most messed up stuff someone could think of. And I feel like the authors or filmmaker is getting off a little bit. That's not the case with The Eyes of My Mother. The Eyes of My Mother is incredibly elegant for how brutal it is. Very briefly, the plot, because there's not a whole lot of plot, so I don't want to kind of spoil what is there. It starts out, it's kind of told in like a triptych, with a space between each, few-year space between each. We start out, this girl, Francisca, we're not even sure where they are. I think they're in like the American South or the American, countryside. Family of Portuguese immigrants, mom, dad, daughter. In the first kind of section of the film, the mother is killed by this wandering serial killer. The father comes home to find his wife dead, clocks the serial killer, locks him up in his barn, and the daughter kind of forms this weird bond with her mother's murderer. And that's basically all I can tell you, because the next scene, or the next section, the daughter is grown up and she is taken on a kind of darker turn, a darker kind of path for her life, and we follow her throughout it. Boy, what a powerful, messed up, beautiful movie. Shot all in black and white. I just love what filmmakers can do with modern technology using black and white. Good Night and Good Luck is like kind of a good example of how you can just do a beautiful movie in black and white. Some of the sequences in Antichrist, and this is basically it's attention to detail, and it's attention to camera setups and just making beautiful images is like on par with something like F.W. Murnau's like Sunrise, something you'd watch in like a film school class, and pay attention to composition and things like that. It's F.W. Murnau's Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is what this movie kind of is. And there has never been a sentence that more makes me the target demographic for something. I understand that there are going to be some of you, and there were some of you in the I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House review. There are some of you kind of bashing my pretentious sensibilities in my 31 review. But again, I'm wearing a Night of the Bloody Apes t-shirt mainly because this movie features ocular trauma, and Night of the Bloody Apes features some really good thumb in eye action. I am no snob. I like high art and I like low art, and this is like the rare movie that kind of mixes everything, mixes all the genres and sensibilities that I like kind of smoothly together in one film. It's excellent. I freaking loved it. It's 75 minutes. It's a quick movie. And there's just not an ounce of fat on it. There's no wasted space. And I love that. I love movies like that. So again, the director was Nicolas Pesce, and this is his first feature film. I don't know if he's done any shorts or something like that. I'm going to have to investigate him. But as I said in the beginning, I knew nothing about this movie going in. I just knew that generally people liked it, and I wanted to watch a movie. So I rented it, and here we are. I usually don't film at night. I have a bunch of lights on here to try to make it brighter. But I watched the movie, and I was like, I gotta make a video about this. I gotta talk about this movie. I gotta shout it from the rooftops. Not a huge cast, but everyone performs incredibly well. Just clearly a cast built around not only talent but just like interesting looks. Everyone in the cast is like either visually interesting in some way or just beautiful. Like it's a movie that like is all about how things look and textures and feelings. Great child actor right at the beginning. That's a hard thing to do, especially for smaller indie movies. They kind of sometimes get sunk by the child actor. She's great. The girl that plays young Francisca, her name is Olivia Bond. So good job, Olivia. But most of the acting in the movie is really carried by older Francisca. Her name is Kika Magalhaes, which I hope I'm saying that right. Kind of like the director. I'm probably mispronouncing all these different names. But she's great. A good amount of her dialogue is in Portuguese, and it just sounds like it gives the movie this kind of really like interesting, like American foreign film feel to it. Just really great. And again, knowing nothing about it, I went back through and I was like, I kind of recognized some of the people on the credits. Produced by Sean Durkin, who did Martha, Marcy May, Marlene, which is a movie I really, really love. So it was kind of no surprise to be like, oh, of course, this guy with good taste who makes good movies would help get this good movie made. Really, really a fan of it, and like I said, these movies that are extremely brutal. There was one shot, I won't say scene, but there was one shot where I literally closed my eyes, and I don't do that for movies. It's just that the ability to build tension and the ability to put your audience through the ringer is such a hard thing, especially in this day and age. And this movie pulls it off beautifully, without ever feeling gratuitous, without ever feeling gross, always feeling weirdly classy for a movie in which all these awful things are happening. And again, a short movie, so you can't cram a lot of awfulness into a very tiny, confined space. For the book recommendation this episode, I did want to go with something that is classifiable as extreme horror, but maybe is a little bit offbeat, maybe isn't what you normally think of, the Edward Lee, the Ras James Whites, the Monica O'Rourke's of the extreme horror genre, and that is Nicole Cushing's Mr. Suicide. I don't think I've mentioned this in a video before, and if I have, forgive me, it might be in one of the top 5 videos, things I did. I know I wrote about it for one of my Cemetery Dance columns, and I mentioned something somewhere about it. But it's worth mentioning again, and it definitely fits this kind of very artistic, very highbrow, but still firmly in the extreme horror genre. Not going to say much about it. It is written in the second person to kind of make you complicit in this narrator. It's kind of also similar to The Eyes of My Mother, because it is kind of like a Bildungsroman. It is almost like kind of a coming of age story of a person who may or may not be a serial killer, but it is told in the second person, so you are the serial killer in Mr. Suicide. A really great book, a really like astutely observed portrait of loneliness and sadness and like homicidal tendencies. Really, really good. Hard to make extreme horror this relatable, but a great book. One of my favorite reads of last year, I think. So Nicole Cushing's Mr. Suicide. After you rent or watch or somehow maybe Netflix at some point The Eyes of My Mother, you're really gonna like it. I'm Adam Caesar. If you've enjoyed this video, if you want to see more videos like it, please subscribe, check out my other videos, check out my playlist, continue watching this playlist, click on the side, watch my stupid face. Look, I've grown a beard. If you want to find out more about my books, I write books. Some of them are classified as extreme horror, but none of them are as gross as any of the things we've talked about this episode. Please check them out on Amazon. You can click below, sign up for my mailing list, get a free ebook. All right, I think all Twitter, Instagram, blog, I guess all the crappy self-promotion stuff's out of the way. So have a good night. Bye.